Yeah, transition of incisor. The incisor liability is overcome by the following factors. The interdental physiological spacing in the primary incisor region, 4 mm in the maxillary arch, upper arch, and 3 mm in the mandibular arch, as shown in these pictures. Transition of the incisor increase interdental arch width. The significant amount of growth occurs with the eruptions of the incisor and the canine. The intercanine width is a very important measurement during many research and analysis which are done by many authors. Therefore, the increase in the anterior length of the dental arch, permanent incisor erupt labially to the primary incisor to obtain an added space of amount 2 to 3 millimeters in order to compensate the width of the successors. Therefore, changes in the inclination of the permanent incisor is a very important and measure in the many treatment plans and the research. Primary teeth are upright, but the permanent teeth is inclined to the labial surface, thus decreasing in the interincisal angle from about 151 degrees in the deciduous dentition to 124 degrees in the permanent dentition. This increases the parameters of the arch. Therefore, this interincisal angle considers a very important measurement which done through cephalometric analysis to the dental analysis, which are doing during the treatment plan of the patient. Therefore, the liability of the incisor, proclined the incisor or retroclined of the incisor may be assessed through this assessment. This is a stable phase where a little changes take place in the dentition. The teeth present are the permanent incisor and the first molar along with the deciduous canine and molars. This phase prepares for the second transitional phase. Some of the features of this stage are any asymmetry in the emergence and corresponding differences in the height level of a crown length between the right and the left side teeth are made up. Here we can see the intertransitional period. The root of the formation of the emergent incisors and the molar continues along with the concomitant increase in the alveolar process height. The alveolar process height increase in the length in different or in opposite direction. Resorption of the root as shown in the blue arrows here in the picture of the deciduous canine and the molar. Also, the second transitional period is characterized by replacement of the deciduous molar and the canines by the premolars and the permanent canine respectively. At around 10 years of age, or the deciduous canine shed, but just before the shedding, there is a transit of the cell of correction malocclusion seen in the maxillary incisor region between the age of 8 to 9 years old. This age is a very important, especially through early orthodontic treatment of the patient of the cleft and palate, and speaking about that previously in the lectures of the cleft lip and palate. Here, a very important phenomenon, Broadbent's phenomenon. This is Broadbent phenomenon, may be a doubling stage. Around of the age of 8 to 9 years old, a midline diastema is commonly seen in the upper arch, which is usually misinterpreted by the present as a malocclusion. It is a typical feature characterized by 1. Flaring of the lateral incisor, as shown here, maxillary midline diastema, also crowns of the canine on the young jaw impinging on the developing lateral incisor root, and thus dividing the roots medially and causing a crown to flare laterally, as shown in here and in the X-ray. If we add long axis with the centrals. During Broadbent phenomenon or Aggle-Dougling stage, the roots of the central incisor are also forced together, thus causing maxillary midline diastema. With the eruptions of the canine, after a few months, the impinging from the root shift incisally and thus dividing the incisor crowns medially, resulting in the closure of the diastema as well as the correction of a flared lateral incisor. Thus means the Aggle-Dougling stage is an auto-correction. No need for orthodontic appliance, no need for orthodontic treatment, because this phenomena will correct automatically after a few months, after remove the cause the pressures of the canine in bilateral side. Therefore, we must take care during this age about these features of the case of malocclusion, which are transitional stage or period. Within the eruption of the canine, the impingement from the root shift incisally and thus driving the incisor crown medially, resulting in the closure of the diastema as well as the correction flared lateral incisor. Hence, this anesthetic metamorphosis eventually lead to the aesthetic result and the normal occlusion, which are returned into the mouth, and the long axis here very clear in the apical X-ray or OPG. Self-correction anomalies. Here in this chart we can see the stage of development, self-correction anomaly, correction occurred due to the different causes. During gum path, retrognathic mandible, anterior open bite, infantile swallow. While in the correction will occur due to the differential and forward growth of the mandible, eruption of the primary incisor, wearing of the liquid into the solid food. While in the primary dentition, anterior debite, straight terminal plane occlusion, primary spacing. Correction will occur due to the eruption of the primary molar, attrition of the incisal edge, and forward and downward growth of the mandible, early major shift and eruption of the permanent teeth. While in the mixed dentition is a very important dentition, the mandibular anterior crowding, self-correcting anomaly, also Aggle-Dougling stage and or relation of the first permanent molar. Secondary spacing intercanine with increased tongue or pressure corrected will be occur due to these causes: maxillary canine eruption and lateral mesial dip. While in the permanent dentition, overjet and overbite in self-correcting and eruption of all permanent teeth and different into growth of mandible correcting will be done later. Sequence of eruption. The canines in the upper arch erupt only after premolar have replaced the deciduous molars, whereas the canine erupt before the premolar in the lower arch, as shown here in this diagram. Second transitional period, favorable occlusion in this area is largely dependent on 1. Favorable eruption sequence, satisfactory to size to available space ratio, attainment of the normal molar relation with the minimum diminutions of the space available for bicuspid premolar teeth. The second transitional period, eruption of the permanent second molar before emerge second molar oriented in the mesial and lingual direction, mesial and lingual direction. Number 2, teeth formed palatally, guided into occlusion by confanal mechanism. This confanal mechanism is very important in order to give the class 1 molar relationship when the palatal cusp of the upper is directed downward toward the central fossa of the lower molar. And this is a very important for centric relation and centric occlusion in the future, and very important for all dentists and especially for orthodontic surgeons during operation. The condyle relationship in the glenoid fossa affected by this confanal mechanism. Arch length is reduced by mesial or optional eruptive forces, thereby crowding if present and accentuated. The permanent dentition period. Now we finished from the mixed dentition and started with the permanent dentition period, when all the teeth in the are permanent. The permanent dentition, this period is marked by eruption of the 4 permanent second molar. Nola's stage of the tooth development. In 1960, Nola studies the stages of the tooth development using panoramic, posterior, anterior radiograph, and we can showing here the stages from the A to G of eruption and the crown calcification and the stage of the crown calcification, and this is also studied by Moyers, showing here, and Nola, and the benefit and improvement of the, especially during forensic dentistry and during assessment the chronological age of the teeth. The permanent dentition. Calcification began at the birth with the calcification of the cusp of the first permanent molar and extend as late as the 25 years of life. Complete calcification of incisor crown take place by 4 to 5 years and of the other permanent teeth by 6 to 8 years, except for the third molar. Here, the chronological permanent dentition, we can see the eruptions of the upper central lateral canine first, second premolar, and difference molar. The first evidence of the calcification can be measured in the week here, and the crown completed, and also here listed in the month time. Eruptions here can be the sequence are completed within the year. This numbers in the table or in the chart, which are done according to the population, according to the white community, according to the black community, according to the Sweden, to Iraqi, to a different community. Therefore, the time of the eruption depend upon the survey which are done in this country or others. Here, also in this chart, we can see the chronological age of eruption of the lower teeth in the lower arch with the different time, also according to the population. Sometimes in the same country, the north differ from the south. Therefore, this is number which are documented through different type of the survey. The permanent dentition incisor develop lingually to the deciduous incisor and move labially as they erupt, and as shown here. The premolars develop below diverging the roots of the deciduous molars. At approximately 13 years old of age, all permanent teeth except third molar are fully erupted. Therefore, the feature of the permanent dentition coinciding midline, as shown here, and the class 1 molar relationship. Class 1 molar relationship, that's mean mesiobuccal cusp of the upper molar slide over the buccal groove of the lower permanent molar. Vertical overbite about 1/3 the clinical crown height of the mandibular central incisor, overjet and overbite decrease throughout the second decade of the life due to the greater forward growth of the mandible. Therefore, this is the overbite and overjet differs within the age. Here we can see the horizontal overlap of the upper to the lower, and we can measure by vernier or probe or any type of an instrument integrating with the difference number in the millimeter and part of millimeter. Now we talk about keys to the normal occlusion. Dr. Andoir described the normal occlusion by different keys, multi-keys. Key number 1, molar relationship. The molar relationship, mesiobuccal cusp of the upper maxillary molar fell into the mesiobuccal groove of the mandibular face molar, and that the distal surface of the distal buccal cusp of the upper face molar should be made contact and occlude with the mesial surface of the mesiobuccal cusp of the lower second molar. This is the first key, while the second key related to the crown angulation. The crown angulation is very important during different phases of the treatment, during different phases of the fixed supply systems and technology of a bracket take in consideration this crown angulation. The angulation of the facial axis, the angulation of the facial axis of every clinical crown should be positive. Positive, that is a few millimeters away from the lower. The gingival portion of the long axis of the crown must be distal than incisal portion. Gingival portion must be distal than the incisal portion, the lower part. Key number 3, crown inclination. Very important also during assessment of a bracket by different companies. Very important, take in consideration during a treatment plan of the orthodontist in order to achieve and improving the occlusion with the normal. The upper incisor, the gingival portion of the crown's labial surface, is lingually to the incisor portion. In all other crown, including the lower incisor, the gingival portion of the labial or buccal surface is labially or buccally to the incisor occlusion portion, as shown here, this diagram. Key number 4 of the Andrews. Dr. Andrews say the fourth key to the normal occlusion is that the teeth should be free of undesirable rotation. Must be, there is no rotation differ or deviate from the normal. Key number 5, tight contact. Also Andrews say that the contact point should be tight, no spaces occur between. In the absence of the anomaly such as genuine tooth-size discrepancies, we can see the contact point should be tight. There is no spacing more in the or between the teeth. Now, Dr. Andrews said about occlusal plane or curve of Spee. This is the curve of Spee. There must be not more than 1 to 2 millimeter in the depth. Therefore, the curve of Spee should have no more than a slight arch. Intercuspation of the teeth is the best when the plan of the occlusion is relatively flat. Therefore, the stability of the treatment and successfulity of all must be within a flatness or curve of Spee. Therefore, a deep curve of Spee results in the more contained area for the upper teeth, making normal occlusion impossible and deviation from the normal occlusion. Also, the vice versa. Andrews key to the normal occlusion say in the key number 7, correct tooth size or the bottoms ratio. Bent and McLaughlin in 1993 gave 7th key to the normal occlusion. For example, the upper and lower tooth size should be correct. Therefore, many researchers have done for tooth sizes must be taken in consideration through assessment of the case. Roth in Dr. Roth in 1981 added some functional keys to the previous 6 key to the normal occlusion by Andrews. Centric relation and the centric occlusion should be coincidence. In protrusion, the incisor should be to seclude the posterior teeth with the guidance provided by the lower incisal edge passing along the palatal contour of the upper incisor. In the lateral exclusions of the mandible, as a lateral movement, the canine should be guide the working side whilst all other teeth on that and the other side are discluded. When the teeth are in the centric occlusion, there should be even bilateral contact in the buccal segments. Now we talk about the anomalies in the dental arch. There are different anomalies in the dental arch length discrepancy, like a crowding or spacing. Also, deviation in the number of the teeth, absence of the teeth agenesis, supernumerary teeth with a different type. Absence of the teeth agenesis, the sequence of agenesis, third molar more than the mandibular, second premolar also, and more than the maxillary lateral incisor and maxillary second premolar. This sequence according to the surveying which are the genetic field influence the dental development. The most distal tooth in each field, the X as shown in this figure, and is the most variable in the development, size and shape, and one most opposite to the display agenesis. Third molar missing here, and then maxillary lateral incisor in the second state on second ratio, in the third ratio maxillary second premolar absence as shown here, and multiple agenesis may be occur with the different syndromes or disease. Supernumerary teeth, excess teeth which are present in different area and in different shape as shown here in the picture. Extra central incisor here present in the lower mesodense between the upper maxillary central, and also a different type of the mesodense. Deviation in the two sides, it is relative in nature. All teeth combined or more or less relative to the size of the jaw or head, crowding or spacing, deviation in the size of individual two size discrepancies. A small mesiodistal crown size lead to the spacing, crowding, large mesiodistal crown size. Large mesiodistal crown size may lead to the different type of lack of the contact, the small mesiodistal of the size, and this all these lead to the deviation so from the normal. Ankylosis. Ankylosis is frequent in the mandibular deciduous molar as shown here, due to the abnormal position within jaw, maxillary perineum canal, due to the lack of space, mandibular third molar. Conclusion. We can take in consideration this conclusion. In its simplest of definition, occlusion is the way to the maxillary and the mandibular teeth articulate, but a relative dental occlusion is much or more complex relationship because it is not only involve the study of the teeth, but also their morphology and angulation, the muscles of mastication, the skeletal structure, the mandibular joint. These different structure take part in the normal occlusion or have a role or importance during development of a normal occlusion. And the functional jaw movement also. In addition to this, it is also involved the relationship of the teeth in the centric occlusion, in the centric relation, and even during function. Therefore, many researchers and authors define the centric relation or occlusion in different position, in different consideration, due to the importance of this station. Occlusion should also involve understanding of neuromuscular system. The neuromuscular system is very important during orthodontic treatment, during using myofunctional appliance. The myofunctional applied by elimination or activation, bionator, activator, different style of occlusion have a rule. Therefore, the mandibular condyle differ from the cartilage of a long bone by different points. For example, the arrangement of the cells in the mandibular condyle in different direction in order to give improvement during function of the myofunctional appliance, while the interstitial material between the cell also absence in the cartilage of a long bone, while present, which lead to the activate the mediators on material between the cell, and remodeling in the process occur during movement of myofunctional applies and give it improvement and stability of a treatment, especially in the last few years during using fixed functional appliance. Therefore, it is responsible for we pedodontists to have an adequate knowledge on this subject and to help us differentiate abnormal from the normal before initiating theory. The pedodontist must have knowledge and information about this field, because the treatment plan related to improvement the occlusion in the future. Now we list the references which are taken in consideration in this seminar, which are taken from the internet by to the students and help our students. These must be taken consider for any future question. Thanks a lot to all audience and my students for efforts about the doctor written this slide show, and thanks a lot for any comment and College of Dentistry in Babylon University. Good luck.